So today I am going to be stitching the spider web that you see here with metallic thread and seed beads. So when I say metallic thread, if you've ever embroidered with a metallic thread before, you might think, oh no, I can't wrestle it. I don't want to worry about the tangles. Metallic thread is notoriously unfun to stitch with, in my opinion, that is. But this is called Dazzle. It's by Wonderful Specialty Threads. It is my favorite metallic thread to stitch with because it's not completely metallic. If you look very closely, I'll get that as close as I can, you can see there's a metallic strand woven throughout the spool, and it's also rayon. So you have the benefits of rayon being shiny, but the metallic here giving a little sparkle. And then when you add seed beads, that's even better. So these seed beads, this is a size 8 seed beads. I have clear ones, I have silver. You use what you like to use. You can find these at any craft store. I've noticed a lot of the craft stores have really been upping their game with seed beads lately. So you should be able to find a good variety wherever you find crafts. And one other thing to mention about this thread, you see when you wind it up, it kind of likes to unravel right away. That's the rayon in it, making it a little slippery. So if you do get this thread, I highly recommend, these are called Wonder Guards. They're also made by Wonderful. And I'll show you how easy it is. You just put your spool of thread on it, roll it up, and it contains it. The little vinyl or plastic, whatever it's made out of, sticks to itself and keeps the thread contained, which is great for storing your spools on a thread rack. So now I'm going to show you how to stitch this with the metallic thread and the seed beads. So I'm going to start the back stitch right along here. When you're looking at this and when you've hooped up your fabric, you'll see that this part right here is very close to the edge of the hoop. So the way I like to do it is you're just going to bring your needle up as close as you can to that little point there. Sometimes you might have to, if it's really close to the hoop, you might just have to adjust your needle to get it into the fabric there. But once you've done that stitch, you shouldn't really have any other problems with this. Okay, so I'm bringing my thread up. I've threaded my needle with the metallic thread, and I'm going to start right off by adding a bead. So I'm adding a little bead on here. Once it's on the needle, you can kind of forget about it. You're just going to bring your needle back down right there. You can determine your own stitch length for this stitch. Oops, as I pull it through, there we go. And you can see that the bead is secure. I have a tiny bit of thread peeking out from either end of the bead. And now I'm just going to do a regular back stitch. So I'm bringing my thread, I'm going to take my beads off a second or else they're all going to bounce off. I'm going to pull my needle and thread up there. Bring it through. And then I'm going back down, not into the same hole, but very close to it. I'm not sure if you can see that with my finger there. So you're really close to the hole that your last back stitch just came out of. And with my web, on my example, I stitched random seed beads on. So I would stitch 2 little back stitches, and then I add a bead. And I'm using a variety of beads just because each one has a slightly different amount of sparkle. And I think it looks neat to have a variety on there. With your needle, you just want to make sure that your needle can fit through your seed bead. That's one of the biggest things that I talk about when you're stitching with beads, before you thread your needle up and get all ready, just make sure that your needle can pass through the seed bead. See, it goes right through there. You know what? I'll just add this one on here. I typically like to use a milliner needle, but I do have to vary that depending on the size of the beads that I'm stitching with. So sometimes I have to go pretty small. And I'm just going to keep back stitching this little area. One other thing that I wanted to make a note of, you see I have to keep pulling my fabric all the way around the edges. If your fabric gets too loose, it makes it a little harder to stitch. So you want to keep your fabric nice and tight in your hoop. Let's add one of these little clear ones. And that will make it easier for you to stitch this. So I'm just always tightening my fabric, just pulling it a little tighter in the hoop as I stitch, because as you stitch something, your fabric is naturally going to loosen in the hoop, especially if you have a plastic hoop. For some reason, they just seem to, your fabric just gets a little looser in the plastic hoops. So I'm going to keep going with this. And this is, again, the back stitch with seed beads and metallic thread. And I'll link the thread and these cool little triangular bead holders in the comments.